So we're now 3 months into the NBA season, and now it's kind of like the prime time to start discussing players and like who's where in the MVP race, who's gonna win the MVP, stuff like that. And right now, the guys who have been dominating the MVP discussion have been guys like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and we're starting to hear more buzz about LeBron James. But the guy who I think is right there at the top above everyone else, yet isn't talked about enough, because we're kind of like used to him playing at this high of a level so consistently, is Giannis Antetokounmpo, who isn't talked about enough for the MVP race. And that's led me to make this video where I'll be giving some reasons as to why Giannis Antetokounmpo can win the 22 MVP. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach my goal of 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. To talk about Giannis's case for the MVP, something that really goes in his favor is the fact that he's on one of the better teams in the league. As at the making of this video, the Milwaukee Bucks are the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. Overall in the NBA, they have the 8th best record in the league, and they're only a half a game behind the Nets for the 3 seed. So they could easily pass them, and they're only 2 games behind the Chicago Bulls for the number 1 seed. So they're definitely having a good season. At the current moment, the Bucks have a 27-18 record. And although Giannis's team at the current moment is not better than other top candidates like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, or even John Morant, I think a big reason that Giannis's team being this good is more impressive than all of those other guys is due to the fact that the Bucks have dealt with many injuries this season. And I know that every team in the league has dealt with injuries, but the Bucks have arguably dealt with injuries and like COVID rules or whatever to the worst degree. Your starting center in Brook Lopez has only played like 1 game of the season, and yes, I'm aware that Bobby Portis has taken his place and arguably played better than Lopez ever has, but Lopez is still important to the team. Literally everyone on this roster has missed like a quarter of the season. Giannis has missed 10 games so far this season. Jrue Holiday has missed 12 games so far this season. He's like their 3rd best player. Chris Middleton has missed like 9 games this season. He's their 2nd best player. Bobby Portis, who has been absolutely awesome, has missed like 9 games. Grayson Allen, who's been a really quality shooter and a guy who has started a lot of games for them, has missed 7 games. And then Dante DiVincenzo literally just came back. He's only played 6 games. Literally every single player on this team who plays significant minutes has missed like 8 to 12 games for them, which is a huge sample size seeing as we've only played 44 games so far this season. Also, the fact that the Bucks are literally only 2 wins away from being the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which has been the stronger conference so far this season, is very impressive, and that just shows if the Bucks are fully healthy, they are the number 1 seed in the East and a top 3 record in the NBA. To just show a little bit of Giannis's valuableness to the Bucks, in the 35 games Giannis has played so far this season, the Bucks are 23-12, and when Giannis is not playing, the Bucks are 5-5, which would make them a 500 team at like the 8th seed. Obviously, it's a small sample size. Maybe the Bucks would be better, maybe they'd be worse, but that just shows that they are good when they're fully healthy. Also, I think I saw like a stat where when Milwaukee has their whole big 3 playing, which hasn't been as often as you would hope this season, when all their big 3 of Jrue Holiday, Giannis, and Chris Middleton is playing, they have like less than 3 losses on the season, which is just very impressive. Another thing that's favoring Giannis when it comes to the MVP race is the fact that Giannis is honestly putting up some of the most impressive stats in the league right now. He's always putting up historic stats. He's doing stats that no one else can do as good as him. Literally averaging 28 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, a block, while shooting 54% from the field. There's not too much NBA players putting up more impressive numbers than Giannis. And at his current moment, he has an argument to be putting up the most impressive stats in the league. His stats are definitely more impressive than Kevin Durant's stats right now of 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 52% from the field. KD has really nice stats. I think he has arguably the 3rd best stats in the league right now. I think Giannis has the edge for sure with the way he's rebounding and defending. Next, we gotta talk about Steph Curry, who actually has kind of been a little bit disappointing this season. He's not really putting up the numbers that are actually comparable to Giannis. He's not playing how he was last season. He's still averaging 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, but he's only shooting 42% from the field and below 40% from 3, which is not that, that's efficient overall as an NBA player, but for Steph Curry, we're used to him being like the most efficient guy in the NBA. So him like just being like above average is not going to cut it if you want to name him the MVP. To compare Giannis to Nikola Jokic, if I'm being unbiased, I think Nikola Jokic is the only player in the NBA who's putting up more impressive stats than Giannis. He just simply is. But you have to realize that Jokic team is not winning right now. They're like the 6th seed in the Western Conference. They're barely above 500. But nonetheless, Jokic is putting up 25 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists while shooting 56% from the field and 35% from 3. No one individually is playing better than Jokic, and all the advanced stats are in his favor. He's actually like known as one of the best defenders in the league from advanced stats. Jokic has probably been the best player this season. The only thing that holds him back is his team record. But I can't lie, I have to give Jokic credit. Stats-wise, he's been absolutely fantastic and historical. He definitely needs to be talked about more. But basically, Giannis is just putting up really impressive stats, all-time great stats. There's no real weakness in his stats. There's nothing that he's like lacking. He's not lacking in assists, not lacking in rebounds, not lacking in like defensive stats, not lacking in his efficiency, not lacking in points. He's literally doing everything at a high level. Only thing you complain about is his three-point shot, but I promise you he's not going to not win the MVP because he's not a good three-point shooter. He literally won it twice, being one of the worst shooters in the league. So he's putting up stats better than literally anyone in the league besides Jokic, who is below 500. Huge advantage for Giannis and a huge reason why I think he could win it. To name a negative as to why I don't think Giannis could win the MVP, the thing is that Giannis has won 2 MVPs and it was in a row. Maybe you could fear that voters might have voter fatigue, but in my opinion, I don't think it will be the case due to the fact that when people were like saying that voters might have voter fatigue, it was because Giannis had won 2 MVPs in a row, and in both the years he won the MVP, he absolutely flamed out in the playoffs. But after winning the championship last season, he showed he's a guy who could step up in the playoffs and be a real superstar. So I don't think any voters will have a reason to complain about if Giannis does it, like if he wins the MVP. Because last season, Giannis should have been in the MVP conversation more, putting up arguably the best stats in the league on a top 5 team in the league. But he wasn't in the conversation. That was definitely voter fatigue, but it was kind of understandable. But this season, Giannis definitely has to be in the MVP conversation more, and I think the voter fatigue is holding him back a little bit more because he's generally not being talked about enough, but he has been going up on the MVP race board, so I guess we'll have to see. He has a really strong case. But to compare Giannis to the other 4 candidates, first we have to compare him to Kevin Durant. To be honest, I think Kevin Durant is the guy who has the strongest case to go against Giannis, because KD literally has his team, like KD and Giannis basically have their team at like the same record basically. And I think Giannis' stats are a little bit better, but I don't think Giannis has like significantly better stats. So I would say they're kind of even in both of those territories. But the reason I gave Giannis the little edge is because I heard Kyrie Irving is going to be playing like full time with the Nets again because they're going to like pay that fine maybe. And I feel like Kyrie's just going to make that team way better, to the point that KD is simply not going to be as valuable to his team as he was like before Kyrie was there. And then when you look at Giannis, he has 2 guys who are like all-stars. Drew Holiday's not even, I wouldn't even say he's an all-star at this point. He's very good, but I would say he's a little bit below the all-star level. Chris Middleton is definitely an all-star. But you have like 2 star players, we'll say, and they've been injured for most of the season and stuff like that. I just think Giannis is way more valuable for his team. Also, when you realize he does it on both sides of the floor, he's like their defensive anchor. Giannis definitely has to be over KD in my opinion at this point. If Kyrie wasn't returning, I actually would have said that KD is the MVP right now, because I literally made a video saying KD is the MVP. But since then, Kyrie has came back, so I don't know. But to talk about Giannis versus Steph Curry, I think like a lot of people are just overhyping Steph right now because he's leading his team to like the 2nd best record in the league, but he's simply not playing as good as a level as Giannis. Not saying he's been like absolutely horrible, but he's just been way too inconsistent. Some days he's dropping 35, some days he's dropping 13, and he's just had way too much bad stretches of games to where like he can't be put over Giannis right now. Giannis literally never plays bad. Maybe he'll have a bad game, but then the next game he's dropping 40 points and he'll do it again. I don't think you could be the MVP having this much bad games. Like, I really don't think so. Steph has probably had the most bad games out of any top 10 player in the league. And when you like add on top of that like when Steph even plays bad, the Warriors still win games, which shows that maybe his stats aren't like the biggest reason for them winning all the time. To be honest, if you have Steph over Giannis in the MVP race, I don't want to hear it unless Steph goes on another crazy run when Clay is like back fully. To talk about Giannis versus Nikola Jokic is pretty obvious. Jokic has really impressive stats, more impressive stats than Giannis, but Giannis is just winning by way too much of a significant margin. You can't win the MVP with your team being 500, and Jokic has been like probably like the best player in the NBA. I'll give him that. But when it comes to the MVP race, Giannis is definitely going to win over him because you have to win games. To quickly compare Giannis to Ja Morant, Ja Morant's just simply not on Giannis's level. He's not in the conversation seriously. He should be talked about in the conversation, but he's not like serious. Like, we're not actually going to give Ja Morant the MVP award. He should be an all-star starter though. And to compare Giannis's case to LeBron, I think LeBron is putting up just as impressive numbers, but Giannis gets the edge because his team is significantly above 500. Giannis literally has a better case than every single other top candidate in the league. And I don't really see how you could like disagree. If you disagree, let me know and let me know why. But I think I made a strong argument for Giannis and I made a strong argument for the other person. I don't know who has a better case to win the MVP than Giannis right now. But to conclude, at this current moment, Giannis definitely has to win the MVP right now. I think him and Kevin Durant are neck and neck in the conversation. Literally, my opinion changes every other day, but those guys are the two top candidates right now. But seeing that Kyrie's returning to KD and like for probably all of the home games, I think it's going to diminish how valuable KD was to Brooklyn. Also, Giannis's team has just been dealing with so much like people being out and stuff that his record is more impressive than Brooklyn's record. And when you top that off with Giannis's just crazy stats, Giannis definitely has to be the MVP right now. But at the current moment, Kevin Durant is inches away. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think Giannis is the MVP. Drop a like on this video, that will my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to goal of 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all